What is going on, all you Pokemon collecting maniacs out there? This is Ryan, the PikaPikaPaPa, and just as we do every Sunday, today we are going to look at the list that TCG Player has sent us of the biggest movers and shakers on their website. And I have been saying this time and time again, so if you watch this every week and you're listening to me say it again, I apologize. But my favorite part about this list is its diversity. I think that it is incredible to see how much love all different segments of the Pokemon collecting and investing hobby are getting right now. You know, I know Ultra Modern is what everybody talks about. If you go to YouTube, everything's all about Surging Sparks, everything's all about Paldea Evolved Reprint, it's all about this Ultra Modern. But when you look at the actual information that TCG Player is sending out to us, it's awesome to see that there are cards from all kinds of different generations, all kinds of different rarities, all kinds of different packs. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But there's just all kinds of interest in this amazing and awesome hobby that you and I both love called Pokemon collecting and investing. So with that being said, as I said earlier, we do this every single Sunday. So if you get into this video and you find it valuable and you think it's a ton of fun, hit that subscribe button. If you like what you see, give us a thumbs up. And if you have questions or comments, drop them down below. Now, I will say this before I get into it. One of the things I most enjoyed about putting this list together is we've been doing this for a long time. This is the highest value list that I have ever put together. There are a couple cards on here that are through the roof expensive. And what gets me most excited is that people are spending big dollars on Pokemon cards. Again, I just think it is a great sign for the hobby. When people are splashing big cash on Pokemon cards, let me know there's still a lot of collector and investor interest out there. So with that out of the way, let's start looking at some of these cards. Now, I told you that there is diversity on this list. And if you've been watching this list every single week, you know that these prize pack series cards have been absolutely going stupid. And I have this Gengar V up right here, and this is no exception. It popped on the list this week. And if you look at it over the last year, obviously most of its growth started in June, but if you look at it over the last year, it's up 354%. I mean, that's absolutely silly. We have seen this time and time and time again where these prize pack series cards that have the big name Pokemon on them, they're either V variants or something like that, or VMAX or whatever, you know, they have been going off in price. So I still don't think it's too late to get in on the trend. What I don't know is how long is it going to last? Are they going to be able to hold their value? Is this just kind of short-term market rotation where everybody's flying into these prize pack series cards and buying them? I mean, last week we looked at a Pikachu that had sold for $2,500 in a PSA 10 holder on eBay a couple months ago. Just crazy prices for these cards. And again, these are actual sales, right? This isn't just some arbitrary number on TCG Player. Like, I went on eBay, I validated these are actually being sold for that. So Gengar pops off right here. I thought it was really interesting, and just look at how it has climbed ever since June. Now, this card doesn't have the lifespan, but it is doing the same thing. If you look at the Mew EX, again, one of the newer ones, another prize pack series card right here, and you see that over the last month, it is up 84.41%. It started off at about $26, $27, and now it's all the way up at $55. And if you look at those light blue graphs on this one right here, that represents how many are selling per week. So you can see here, this has been selling with a relatively high velocity, sometimes 4, 6, 8 sold in a week. Again, not a card that I expect to see 100, 200 sold like we sometimes do with 151 cards or some of the other ultra modern cards, but there's a strong market demand for this. So it came out, it went up, it kind of held flat for a while, but again, another example of these prize pack series cards with a big name Pokemon on it, and that stamp means the world. People are just buying these things left and right. Really impressive to see this all the way up at $54 so early on in its life cycle, and there is something special going on with prize pack cards right now. I don't know what's in the water, but it is something good for all of those cards. Next one right here, and I told you there are some big cards on this list, and this Charizard GX from Burning Shadows, the Secret Rainbow card, is no exception. This card, over the last year, just look at what it's done. I mean, yes, it started off in the 380 range and it immediately dropped. But if you think about what it has done from November of 2023 all the way till now, this card has been hot, right? No matter what was going on in the market, we've seen a lot of, heck, Sun and Moon. We do that a month-over-month graph here where you guys can see how the Sun and Moon singles are performing. Sun and Moon was relatively soft for a long time. Not this Charizard. This Charizard is something special. Now, one of the things that makes it special is it has one of the lowest gem rates you will find out there. It has a 17% gem rate. When you look at the border, that really thin border that goes all the way around, getting this thing centered is an absolute nightmare. Matter of fact, PSA 10 copies of this, again, go for about $2,500. And when I'm thinking about long-term growth, guess what? That number doesn't seem unapproachable to me, simply because the population is so small. There's not going to be a lot more of these that are integrated into the overall collecting and investing space. I mean, of course, you're going to have a couple 10s that trickle in throughout the rest of the years, you know, over time, but there's not going to be a lot of them. So when I think about it, the population is relatively insulated. Obviously, the single card price has been doing well. It's a Charizard. There's a lot to love about this card. And again, I just love seeing that the hobby has been buying this with a certain degree of velocity from a set that's not that great, but it goes to show you that a really big chase card can kind of live in its own life, right? We say this all the time, and I'm going to say it again later on in this video. There is always a market for premium assets. I don't care what it is. I don't care if you're talking about stocks. I don't care if you're talking about real estate. I don't care if you're talking about Pokemon cards or sports cards. If you own a premium asset, there is always going to be a buyer out there for it, and I think this is a great example of that. Next one on the list right here, Poliwhirl. I just got done talking about this not long ago. I did a video on my favorite cards, or actually no, it was a video on the 151 cards that have appreciated the most over the last 6 months, and this Poliwhirl was on there, and I called out the fact that I loved it a couple months ago as well. I just think this card's really cool. I love the fact you can get it under $12 right now. I love the fact that he's bowed up, staring at his reflection in the middle of the rain. Like, what is there not to love about this card? Plus, it's coming from 151, which obviously is a set for the ages. Could go down as the best, if not one of the very best sets from Scarlet and Violet. I can't imagine anything knocking it off, but maybe something will. We all know that the gem rates in 151 is incredibly low, so you got that going for it too. All of these things, and I've said it time and time again, I love the fact that you can get such amazing artwork from such an epic set for 151. A lot of the cards are in the $20 or sub $20 range, and this is one of them coming in at $11.43. What a cool card. What a great opportunity to pick it up. Who knows what it's going to do in the long run? Is it going to be a $20, $30, $40 card? Who knows? It certainly isn't going to pop off to a $100 card in the future, but you can do a lot worse than having one of these in your collection and seeing what happens in the long run. The next card right here, and the final card, as I said, there are always buyers for premium assets, and this is it, right? This is the card from the Sun and Moon era, from the set in Team Up. You have Latias and Latios right here. And in case you haven't heard, those characters are going to be primarily focused, at least in Surging Sparks, right? There's going to be an illustration rare. There's going to be a special illustration rare. Could that bring some additional, I don't know, some additional hype or some additional focus to this card? I'm not really sure. At an $853 price point, I'm not sure it can get more hype. I don't know how many people are out there with a $1,000 budget willing to buy on this simply because Surging Sparks is going to have, you know, these two characters featured in it, but we shall see. Again, as I said, when you're thinking about long-term investing and collecting, whether it's booster boxes or whether it's singles cards, I always say buy the best cards you can in the highest quality version you can afford. I always like PSA 10s when I can afford it, and if I'm searching for raw cards, obviously I'm looking for those really blue backs, those really clean corners, and just really big name cards like this one. Team Up is obviously a very short printed set. It's the most expensive set in the Sun and Moon era. Booster boxes go for like $2,400 right now, which is absolutely crazy, and this card's an $850 card. So seeing this card listed on the biggest movers and shakers at this point in the hobby is absolutely amazing for me. Again, seeing that big Charizard, seeing this big card right here just makes me feel really good about where the hobby's at right now. So I love doing this list. I hope you enjoyed this list as well. I have a ton of fun with it, and if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. If you have questions or comments, drop them down below. And as always, if you like what you see, give us a big old thumbs up. I appreciate you. I hope you guys have an epic one, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody. Bye.